Good evening. Today is July 9th, 2026. This is the Episcopal Creation Care Deep Dive for July. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Bishop Cathleen Bascom and all that she has to share with us tonight.
Well, I am very excited that we can come together in September, many of us at the Proctor Center. And so this is meant in some ways as a taste, a preview of what we'll go into there a little bit more deeply in terms of our callings, listening for the calling of God, understanding our individual callings, understanding this time and the profound calling we have to care for God's creation. And I'm going to give, of course, some view onto Episcopal Eco-Region networks, as that is a newer part of our life together. So, slideshow here. Does that come across well, everybody? You can see my screen.
Looks great.
So, the Episcopal Church has long seen creation care and climate advocacy as important parts of Jesus's way of love. And I am so deeply thankful for the leaders, both for us across the church, the wider church, and for leaders in your own individual places who have been doing climate advocacy, have been taking care of your own good news gardens, of restoring nature where you are, of changes in government, of many different ways that we have already been leading. And now I think that we are adding a bit of a new focus on regional nature-based solutions. What is an Episcopal Eco-Region network? I'm going to start with that. It is a place-based network of individuals, parishes, partner organizations, and dioceses organized around a shared ecosystem instead of ecclesial or political boundaries. We are seeking these to be communities of transformative action who discern a shared call to hands-on earth healing and advocacy, and who support one another through the sharing of best practices and prayer. One germinal story for me was that Kansas and Nebraska share many things. This year, I was able to go out and watch the cranes who fly over some of our wetlands, who are just there in an ephemeral fashion, and know that they go up that great flyway all the way into Nebraska. I think of the monarch butterflies, who also, we are on the Monarch Highway, and the butterfly milkweed and many of our different pollinator plants support them. We are linked by the Ogallala Aquifer that is such a crucial groundwater source. But we are in two different provinces, and there were times when we couldn't really work together in the church or get grants together because it was done by provinces. And it seemed to be a sort of calling that we need to be able to work when it comes to creation care in more organic fashion. And that is a central idea behind building ecoregion networks. Theologically, in September, we're going to really dive into the question and who is included in God's way of love. I think that I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but it's such an important message that we need to bring. Who is included in God's way of love? So I do bring you greetings from the grasslands. I live in Topeka, Kansas. And we believe that many and varied people, whether it's urban Kansas City or suburban Denver, college town in Lincoln, agricultural towns in Hayes, the people of the Rosebud Reservation, are all meant for God's way of love. But what of the bluestem and the Indian grass, the side oats grandma and the sunflowers and the prairie dogs and the prairie chickens, the black Angus and the bison? Are they beloved of God? I've just been here with the Chesapeake Watershed. It was their first network gathering. And obviously, people of Washington, D.C., and Baltimore, and Alexandria, and little Chestertown are all meant for God's way of love. But what of the blue sedge and the sugarcane, the seagrass, the sassafras, the egrets, the plovers and pipers, and the blue crabs? Are they beloved of God? Are they being drawn into God's way of love? So I want you to think of your place. Think of some of the cities and towns and of the different species, and who is included in God's way of love. I believe that we have incredibly rich biblical foundations that declare to us that the whole creation is wrapped into Jesus's way of love, to God's way of love. And we're going to look at those in some depth. I'm sure that you have the scriptures that you hold on to, and that the ones that inform your creation care. Many of us, Genesis 1, the first creation story especially, and right after the flood, right? The bow will be in the clouds, and I will look at it and remember the permanent covenant between God and all the living creatures on earth, not just humanity. There is an everlasting covenant between God and all that lives. The Psalms, Psalm 104, and all of those creation Psalms. And the prophets, they often point back to Genesis 9, like in Isaiah 24. Isaiah reads, "Look, the Lord is stripping the earth bare and making it desolate. The earth is polluted by its inhabitants, for they have transgressed teachings, overstepped decrees, and broken the permanent covenant." It says that it is humans who are breaking the covenant. I think that we are sometimes blind to how agrarian and creation centered Jesus's own earthly teaching and ministry was. It's like many of those parables and so much of his teaching has been read in a metaphorical fashion through some of us that are urbanized hearers, that we forget how much the creation is in what he taught and what he did. Consider the lilies. A sower went out to sow, the mustard seed, the calming of the storm, feeding of the 5,000, the lost sheep. Jesus is in that wisdom tradition, like the Psalms, like Proverbs, that looked for the handiwork of God, that looked for the wisdom of God. And we do need to claim Jesus as the Good Shepherd who is leading us in this time in our endeavors of creation care. Jesus' incarnation, we believe that there's really a sophisticated theology that links Jesus' incarnation and resurrection to the whole cosmos. That when he took on flesh, it really meant the flesh, all living things, the whole earth. Irenaeus is one of the great theologians around this incarnational idea of Jesus saving everything. Ultimately, creation and humans together will be saved and glorified in such a way that God's glory will shine unmistakably through every facet. You can look to Basil the Great. There are so many different traditions. We have our contemplative traditions. We think of St. Patrick's breastplate that we love to sing, and so much else that's hymnody and our hymnal. Think of the Franciscans. St. Francis wasn't just very sentimental. He believed that poverty is linked with joy, and that all humans are really poor, that we come in poor and we leave this earth poor. And as we are poor, it links us to the creation around us. It gives an intimate connection with the land and its creatures. And we know that this beloved of God is suffering. So from the grasslands, we lose over 1 million acres of U.S. grasslands every year. The Ogallala Aquifer, 89 million or trillion gallons of water have been drawn down in the last decades. We were just here in the Chesapeake and talking about these dead zones. And I know that others of you who are on the Gulf and in many of our places are seeing this same kind of degradation, where the nitrogen and phosphorus block sunlight because of the algae blooms, and the underwater grasses cannot grow, and marine life is suffocating. We know that sedimentation is a real issue because of the erosion that's wiping every time we do all this huge construction. And if we've taken off the shoreline, that dirt just comes into our water, and the sea level rise of coming from climate change is really, really worrisome. So you might take just a minute, and it sounds like you already shared them together about how the creation is hurting most where you live. Ecoregion networks are meant to be communities of practitioners devoted to drawing all of creation into Jesus's way of love. And I think some of us are called to work upstream, those of us who are called to legislation, for instance, which might need to happen in a few states, right, to keep the waters we share clean. Some of us are called to big church systems to create change in our communities and move upstream. We are called to restore nature on large scales, to do regenerative food, both on a large scale, to really change agricultural practices, and sometimes in small, little places, like very small churchyards. We are to endeavor to be hands-on healers, mending the earth. That has to be part of our calling. And we must mend the earth knowing that we are all intertwined, that when the earth is damaged, when we are not attending to the earth as part of the way of love, humans suffer and injustice comes. So we are caring for our brothers and sisters, our siblings, as we work to heal the creation. We think of 3 main pillar areas for ecoregion networks for nature, people who are preserving and restoring native plant communities and restoring habitat to increase biodiversity and working to bring healthy soil and healthy water. We have the people who are in the food work, who are doing regenerative and animal sensitive agriculture, fishing, and those who are also working against food deserts, who are working for just food systems. We are working in the world of climate, moving us toward carbon neutrality, how people are doing their buildings, what kind of renewable energy is possible, what are we doing with the data centers, how are we organizing ourselves for this work. I was privileged to get to go to some of the climate summits and was very inspired by one in Dubai, which was about nature food linkages. And the scientists and the high level folks there said to us that there's incredible health when we restore nature next to agriculture. And they were able to show the mutual benefits. I think of the peatlands in Germany. They had test sites where they were restoring peat and they were doing their farming right next to it, and how vibrant the restored peatland helped to make the agriculture. So that I hung on to that and I said, this is something that we can do sometimes on really small scales and sometimes quite large. This is something that the ecoregion networks can do. If you want to look up what the specifics in terms of ecoregion networks, some of the specifics that we're trying to incorporate, you can read General Convention 2024's B002. So hopefully you know how to go online and to get that resolution is what is really guiding some of the specifics of our ecoregion networks. A few of them are that the ecoregion networks will host online and in-person gatherings, just like what you are doing now, but doing that in their region. Each ecoregion network has a creation justice or ecoregion fellow, as we call them, who is engaged to assist the building up of the community of the network. $10,000 a year is given to each network to fund an annual gathering and to support that Eco Fellow. We are part of the Anglican Communion Forest, and they're very excited about this new initiative. They are doing similar kinds of networking all around the globe. So with mangroves, with reforestation in Europe and in Africa, many different kinds of practices, but they see what we're trying to do as very in line with what the Anglican Communion Forest does. And they have introduced us to a platform called Restore, where we can map our progress. We can map our different sites and the things that we are doing on them and track the progress we're making, whether it's carbon sequestration, biodiversity, water quality. Over time, we should be able to see the changes, the ways that we are healing God's earth. This year in 2026, the Creation Care grants will come through ecoregion networks, and we can talk a little bit more about that in the question and answer time. But there will be portioned out some of those funds for creation grants to networks and to neighboring dioceses who may not be in a ecoregion network yet. Again, how is an ecoregion network formed? 3 or more bishops write Presiding Bishop Rowe, describing the region and some of its issues and goals. But then once a network is established, other interested regional dioceses may join. And if for some reason you don't have a bishop or your bishop, it's not top to their list, even individuals can align themselves with a network and try to participate in some of the things that they are doing. In my mind, these are things that distinguish the ecoregion networks from some of the things we've done before. There is a focus on place and on practice. Biodiversity, nature restoration, and regenerative ag are a bit more front and center than some of our climate work in the past. The land, waterways, climate issues, and species themselves are meant to dictate who collaborates more than church boundaries and structures. We look to regional experiences and local wisdom. We think that's crucial and fruitful. And when climate crises strike, we hope that if we've built these communities, we can really be there for one another. Our presiding bishop has interest in grassroots and collaborative ecclesiology, both for this creation care world, but also other areas. And bishops expressing interest when an eco-region networks are formed are thus informed and invested in them. They're not always going to be that that active, that much. The participants, the leaders, I think, are often lay leaders among us, but the bishops are at least informed and really kind of give their blessing, give their encouragement and their resources to these networks. To date, there are 12 ecoregion networks: the Grasslands Network, Province 1, New England, Appalachia, Ecuador, Honduras and the Dominican Republic, Chile and Venezuela, the Chesapeake Watershed. Province 8 has air quality and water scarcity and the Pacific Coastal, so there are 2 ecoregions there, the Gulf Coast and the northern New York and inland waters. That is who we have to date. So again, if your diocese is not in a network, what does that mean for you? Like I said, networks are established with just 3 bishops and dioceses, but others may join. And if you think that's important, continue to talk with your bishop. And if not, reach out to Hampton, who I think is on this call, or myself, and we can try to link you to somebody that has either a priority that you care a lot about, or is just nearby, where you are geographically. About the last thing I want to share is that we're hoping to have some formation offerings in our network, through the networks. So Love God, Love God's World, the wonderful curriculum that has come out not too long ago. We hope to have monthly sessions where we're going through that curriculum, where people can join on Zoom and then break into discussion rooms in their ecoregions. There's also an exciting collaboration around solidarity circles that will be more aimed at eco-justice, really a chance to give leaders strong organizing tools for transformative action that needs to happen where they are. And there is the wonderful Episcopal path to creation justice that's being used in Province 1. And maybe some of you are also using it. And we think that may be coming out to be used beyond Province 1. Our team, I am the consultant for ecoregion networks. Professor Andrew Thompson, who is at the University of the South, Sewanee. He is our academic advisor, and Mr. Hampton Randall is our facilitator. A favorite quote from Basil the Great: "O God, enlarge within us the sense of fellowship with all living things, our brothers, the animals, to whom thou gavest the earth as their home in common with us. We remember with shame that in the past we have exercised the high dominion with ruthless cruelty, so that the voice of the earth, which should have gone up to thee in song, has been a groan of travail." So, Heather, I think it's back to you.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for this. I think that put some, gave a lot more information. Yeah, there's applause. Are you able to stop sharing? I guess we can all hit the meeting button.
Sorry, here. There I am.
So, questions for Bishop Kathleen? Okay, while they're all thinking about it, I am grateful that you referenced both Love God, Love God's World and the Path to Creation Care. Oh, Justice, I think is that official title. They were resources that we had referenced before, so I'll those resources will be in the note that goes out soon. And then you also referenced B004. I did find a link for it, so it is in the chat.
B00, sorry, it's B002.
Oh, B0. I think I found the right. Did I find the right one? Oh, I did find the right one. I just typed it incorrectly. Yes.
Okay.
Build networks around creation care and renewable energy.
I
So, so that's B002. That'll be referenced. I need to make sure. Yes, I put it correctly in the follow up email also. That's amazing. Questions, friends? Resources you're looking for from Bishop Kathleen? We do have an opinion in the chat that says the budget for creation care should be at least 5% of the Episcopal Church budget, divided equally among ecoregions, not a paltry $10,000 per ecoregion. Thoughts, responses to that, Bishop Kathleen?
um it has, there's been quite a bit of change around this, and I'm going to try to get a little bit different view here. So in B002, if you get to study it, you will see that originally there were just three pilot ecoregions imagined, but so many bishops were interested at the House of Bishops, and the presiding bishop was intrigued that these have been expanding at a really pretty rapid rate, that we're now to 12, and they're all very new. In terms of the funding, there's been quite a bit of financial support for this, because originally it was going to be that would have been $30,000 each year, because it would have been three networks at 10 grand a year. So there's now between 10 and 12 networks. What's happening with Province 9 is still a little bit up in the air, but so you can see that that's already quite an expansion of the budget, so that every one of these regions can have an annual gathering that's funded by the Episcopal Church, and everyone have an eco-region fellow who is paid, a fairly minimal stipend, but helping regions really connect with one another. And now the grants that were passed, the grant monies for 2025 and 2026 are being combined, and they will be portioned to each ecoregion network to give grants in their area. And those will be about $20,000 each this year. We're waiting for the exact amount, but you can look for an announcement to come out pretty soon, I would say by about August 1st at least, on the request for proposals. So anyone across the Episcopal Church can still put in applications. And if you're in an ecoregion network already, your application would go to a small grant team in your network who will be making some decisions. And I mean, again, it's not a huge amount of money, But it'll be $20,000 in this year that each ecoregion network can do to fund the programs or projects that they want to do out of that $20,000. What's going to happen with next year's budget for creation care grants is $125,000. How they're going to do that next year, whether that'll be a more centralized application process like it was in the past, or whether it will again go to ecoregion networks. I don't know that answer, but we will know it, I'm sure, into 2027. And if you are in a diocese that is not in an ecoregion network, you are invited to apply nonetheless to either one of, whichever is probably your closest ecoregion network. You will send your application to that network, and you will be given equal consideration. Or sometimes there might be that your particular project that you would like to seek funding is kind of aligned. Like if you're wanting to do, restore prairie, you would probably go to the grasslands. If you're wanting to work on something on the Mississippi River, you would go to the Gulf Coast, most likely, if that makes sense. Obviously, I would love to see more funds coming to this crucial call. And if any of you are General Convention, delegates next time it's coming up, let's keep doing more. We can put in resolutions and ask for more funding.
Kathleen, there's a newly formed um, diocese of North Carolina, East Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia have recently come together, I think, as an ecoregion, and
Yes.
that's my home. Uh, so as that group's just getting started and just forming, can you point to a best place for guidance for, where to go from the fact that beyond the fact that we've been named?
Right. Well, let me read you what the bishops put together as some of the areas of focus that they're seeing for your ecoregion network. Let me find it here. Waterways and agricultural systems that link these dioceses with particular focus on the crisis of factory farming and animal suffering in the food industry. So that's one thing they really want to focus on, and polluted waterways and the disproportionate burden on rural and historically marginalized communities.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those resonate with you. Bishop Ruth has been probably the lead bishop. Often there's a bishop who's kind of taking the lead.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you can reach out to her. I don't know. I know that is Hampton Randall on this call? I don't know if he jumped on. He didn't make it. Okay. Again, you'll have to forgive both of us because we just wrapped off this one conference and are in transition. I don't think we have yet the Echo Fellow named. But Joseph, I don't know if it's you or if you know of somebody who might be a good person to help build this community out, you could get that word to me or to Bishop Ruth. And anyway, that's kind of what I know. And you will already be able to make application if you know of somebody or know yourself that you want to, apply for some funds for a project, even though they are new. And many of these are brand new, right? I think it's not the newest. There's a couple even newer than yours. So,
Okay.
but everyone will have those funds, proportioned out.
Okay. All right.
Did
Thanks.
that makes, does that any help?
Yeah, yeah. So we're just getting started. I saw your letter that also announced all that that went to our bishop. So in the Diocese of North Carolina, we're just this week figuring this out.
Yeah. And we would hope, I mean, all of you that are on this call, I don't know how many of you are, many are province, it's kind of been province 5 and province 4. Are most of the people in here on province 5 and 4? No,
Nope,
from all
all
over the
over.
place? All over the place. Okay. So another thing for Joseph and others is that there may be just hopeful opportunities to gather like this, but regionally as well. It doesn't mean that we would stop gathering like you all are doing right now. You know, it's so important for all of us to be together, but there would also be regional opportunities virtually to start building that community there.
Hi, Kathleen. It's Kristen Talbot. I met you. I used to be the farmer at St. Francis Belmore with Reverend Grace Flint. I met you maybe
Oh,
2, 3 years
hi.
ago at a How are you at a Creation Care conference. It's good to
Yes,
hear you.
yes.
It's good
Good
to
to
see you. I love hearing
good
you
to
speak. So
good to
yeah,
see you, Kristen.
yeah. So thank you for sharing everything. And I don't think that this ecotypes was even a thing when I met you 3 years ago. I think all of this is new. So it's beautiful to see how the program has been evolving. So thank you for speaking. And Heather, I wanted to say thank you to you too for connecting me with all the people I didn't know existed, and for leading the beginning of this Zoom. So thank you to both of you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful for everybody sticking around. What I will do is I will again show my Proctor shirt. I'm wearing my Proctor swag. If you have not yet signed up for the Episcopal Creation Care Gathering, now is the time to do that. There is a link to do that. And please share that with other people. So, a great thanks to Bishop Cathleen, and I'm going to stop recording at this point.